Yeah, I was Shamal out of 1 West, 125th Street, Harlem, New York, under command of General Yohana. As y'all know, we've been driving this truth since to the scriptures. And once again, brotherhood can never be stressed enough. You understand? Because brotherhood is what's going to repair the weapon in combating the enemy. All right, that we use, that we must. So, and break it down on how that's so, or what have you. Several methods that have been communicated by before so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians. How we know is because we're being murdered by the police. Still, our unemployment rate. So this is how you know that nothing that has been in it has ever had any employed by someone. You know what I mean? We want dominion over the earth. We want the rulership, or what have you. So values, equality. That's one of them. You know what I mean? It's said that we should all be equal. You know what I mean? Then it should be no versus, Caucasians or what have you. You know what I mean? Solution that has been sustainable for our people until, Isupk has was on the scene. And so since we can actually, change we've been given the solution to that, all right? And we got beds and all of that. You know what I'm saying? And they look at us like, man, don't listen to these gangbangers. Don't listen to these robbers, these drug dealers, or what have you. All of the recent events that, across the whole nation, everybody, jacked at you. You know what I mean? Everyone is starting to hear it and really see that what UPK has been saying since 1969 is so now. the only problem is adjustment is done, and what actually needs to be done, are very far from each other. All right, you know what I mean, and it's a lot of waking up that needs to be done. You know what I mean, in order to actually do what needs to be done to successfully, defeat him in a physical war. However, what I mean, not to defeat him with bombs for us to employ in order to achieve, that outcome of successfully defeating the enemy. And that, what I mean, it sounds quite simple, but it's a very difficult thing when you bring it to the essence. You know what I mean, just because of Christianity and how it has destroyed our people. Spiritually destroyed blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians. Getting off of the Christianity, and it's going to take a whole lot of in order to be able to fully digest, good between amongst, and of course, too, also is because I want to drill it and make sure that we get it. You know what I mean? So it's you more locked in every time you hear it. You understand, and it'll stay with you. You know what I mean? It's kind of like hearing a song once. You know what I mean? You hear that song, you start to remember a new song, a record that you need to embed inside of your mind and remember every word of it. You understand? This is the best hit record you will ever hear, and you can live this hit record. You know what I mean? You can't live that hit record that you're listening to of all that fairy tale stuff that they talking about. You know what I mean? But being said, and you can remember every piece of it and put it in absolute when you do it. You know what I mean? Gather yourselves together. Talking about gather yourselves together. You know what I mean? We need to gather ourselves together under General Yohana since 1969. We all need to unify under. Making this manifest. You know what I mean? We are absolutely, whatever it needs to be, any round table, put out the order that all camps are ordered, even before the whole COVID-19, pushing that, what I mean, for all camps to guide, what I mean, because at the end of the day, what I mean, so we can do all the back and forth, but that all of that is unnecessary right now. All of it is unnecessary. What is necessary, however, and it's to a high consideration, especially under one banner and on one accord. You understand? And then just to broaden it even further, this isn't just talking about, just Israelite to the brother or the sister that's in the world that doesn't have the truth or what have you. You know what I mean? But it's time to gather yourselves together. Yeah, you gather together. We have the worst educational systems and, all manner of to those conditions. All right. That's, what I mean? And you know what I mean? We could look at another Native Indian just like us. We can look at the next black, Hispanic, or Native Indian, and we can forget. You know what I mean? We can forget that he's out there on the block trying to see if he can scrape up whatever it's just to get a little something in his stomach. You know what I mean? We listen. We can look at each other and forget that at the end of the day, we are brothers and sisters. You know what I mean? And we are in hell together. That's why we are in hell, because we're. Now is a high time to wake out of sleep. That's what the scriptures say in Romans. It's high times to wake out of sleep. You know what I mean? We are sleeping if the drugs that our oppressor put there to oppress us, to keep us oppressed. You know what I mean? We're still sleep wants us to live by. You know what I mean? Still sleep, but now it's time to wake out of the sleep. You know what I mean? Now it's time to wake out of the sleep, and it's time to ask ourselves, you know what I mean, what is going on here? What is going on? Who am I? You know, why does every other nation on the face of the earth receive justice for the injustices that occur with them? However, you know, I can suffer slavery. I can suffer tremendous amounts of slavery and rape and genocide and incarceration and all of these injustices and never receive justice for it. And you know, no one else believes that I should receive justice for it. Why am I held to such a, why is it, you know, my humanity is not really who receive their justice every day? You know, I don't have a military to fight my battles for me. You know what I mean? Something is wrong because, you know, every time something happens, every time something goes wrong, everything the injustices to us in order to receive justice. You know what I mean? That's the problem. You know what I mean? When you know, go to the Arabs and say, man, you got to give justice. You know what I mean? No, they sent to kick doors and pull and say, we got the bad guys. You know what I mean? That's what happens. You know what I mean? So why are we so dependent when we come to the realization that you destroyed, you know what I mean, to the point where we don't even know who we are as a people, man. That's the problem. We don't know who we are as a people. We don't even understand that we are a nation of people. Acknowledges the fact that they are a nation. You know what I mean? And because they acknowledge that they are a nation, they have a military to defend their nation. You know what I mean? If they didn't know they was a nation of people, you know, I got the military might, I'll come over here and take care of you. You know what I mean? And whether their intentions were, you know, sincere or whether they were, you know, they had a hidden agenda, and regardless to that realization that, you know, who am I? And when we find out the truth, you know what I mean? That's something, I mean, like when we understand that we the same people, it's going to be, you know, it will become up to a point where, you know what I mean, he's implemented his defense, hate the Dominicans hate the blacks, hate the Puerto Ricans, and it just goes on and goes on. You know, my people are better than his people or what have you. You know, that's the way that we're thinking. You know, my people are better than his people. You know, so when your brother, you perceive there to be a weakness in you, and it said, you know what I mean? But now we come together under one identity. Now, Dominicans and Haitians, they say what? They're going to say, man, them Haitians, those are my brothers. Those are my brothers too. You know what I mean? Regardless of their skin color, what have you, it doesn't matter. Complexion is there like that is because we have a slave mentality. But they going to look at it. My brother right here, whoever's lacking on whatever, and share and build. And Puerto Ricans and so-called Puerto Ricans and so-called black, whatever the case may be. You know what I mean? You feel we feel like we better than each other for whatever reason. You know what I mean? You know, or what have you. In the same way black people help black people, now we start to look out for each other, regardless if you black or Puerto Rican. You understand? So now once we start to look out for each other, then that changes the whole being selfish, and now we extend and we'll become stronger. You know what I mean? If he see a brother to come up in there, let me come on that, you know, liquor store, bring a brother spots. They bring everybody, all the tribes are included. When I say Benjamites, that means West Indians. You know what I'm saying? What's a West Indian spot? You know what I mean? Different, you got so-called Puerto Ricans and Dominicans working back there. You got so-called black people working in the back, and Haitians and Jamaicans, all alike. We all understand that we are the same. Barbershop at the corner or what have you. You know what I mean? Now it ain't just the Dominican brothers up in there. You know what I mean? Or what have you. You know what I mean? The Dominican brothers ain't working the chairs and all of that. It'll change the whole dynamic when we look at each other like, okay, you know what I mean? Even though we don't speak the same out, so I'm going to help them out. You know what I mean? So, with that being said, let's read on. All right. Gather yourselves together, yea, gather together, O nation not desired. You know what I mean? And then once we come together, then there's gonna have to be a certain set of laws that come into play. You know what I mean? We're gonna have to have they live and they die by it, supposedly, of their nation. You know what I mean? And likewise for so-called the law. So we have dietary. That's where our dietary laws are located. You know what I mean? Predominantly. You know what I mean? And just to surmise the whole thing in the ocean that doesn't have fins or scales, or any beast of the field that doesn't divide a hoof and chew the cud. You know what I mean? It's unclean for us to eat. You know what I mean? Like roach in our mouth. You know, grab a roach off the floor without any boundaries. You know what I mean? You just be like, you live like an animal. An animal will eat anything off the floor. A pig will eat anything off the floor. You know what I mean? You'll put anything inside of your mouth and you to what you consume. Then what differentiates you between an animal? You know what I mean? Where's the difference between you and an animal in that aspect? You know. So we have a dietary law. You know, I got a garment, or I got some I have some fabric that I'm trying to sell, or what have you. And I tell you, the fabric is, full grain leather, a lower quality grade of leather. Now what? That puts us in a position where for it, and we have laws as to what laws that make sure there's an answer for everything, most purest form possible. They call America a melting pot, and you got all these different culturalistic practices, and these different nations, they get what your cultural practice, you'll lose them. They won't be as potent as they were before. You know what I mean? Throughout the generations, it'll just become more and more watered down. You maintain, understand? That's why that's part of the reason, something that is completely for Chinese woman. Get with a Chinese woman, worship that Buddha. You know what I mean? If you decide to have kids, it's going to be at a crowd, may not be. And so, man and a woman, and they're both people. You know what I mean? They just keep that same with those customs and down to their children, and they'll keep together. Yea, gather together, O nation not desired. All right. Let me see if I want to read on. That's right. Let's see if I want to go. I'm gonna drop down to verse 3. Salakia. It says, "Seek ye the Lord, all ye meek of the earth." All right. Seek ye the Lord, all ye meek of. The Lord said, "Oh man, how did that scripture go?" And said, "A broken heart and a contrite spirit is a gift of the Lord." Paraphrasing. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? For the Lord, what have you, you'll never be able to receive this truth. Absolutely nothing. You don't know anything. All right. If you want to know something, then acknowledge that you know nothing. That's where you want to start at. Acknowledging that we know what the truth. All right. And because we know it, you should listen to us. You should listen to what we say. You shouldn't listen to what you say. You should listen to what you do. You should do what we do. Why? What you do has put you in the predicament that has put you in the predicament. The Lord, and your whole predicament will change. You understand? You come and you get the counsel and instruction from the minute of the Lord, and you'll see bigger and better things. But seek ye the Lord, all ye meek of the earth. All right. You're humble. You're black for 90 days, and soldier up in this truth, and come to class. The Lord, all ye meek. Salakia. I mean, the angels rejoice Every time a new brother or sister come into this truth, you know what I mean, the angels, that is something that provokes the Most High to want to deliver justice to so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians. That makes the Lord, when he see brothers and sisters and, you know, change their life completely when they find out the truth to so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians, and continues to commit against us, to the Lord want to deliver judgment. What is judgment? Judgment is a punishment for a crime that is committed. The Lord is going to a pack of Newports. You understand? Dropping the weed, you know what I mean? Cutting off the pork, cutting off the shrimp, cutting off the crab. You know what I mean? All of the ways that are adverse to what the Lord intended, how the Lord intended for us to live. You know what I mean? And putting on something that provokes the Most High to want to destroy our enemies for us. You understand? We have an army. Don't get it twisted. Our nation has, understand, and that is the army of the Lord. You know what I mean? Both celestial and terrestrial. Okay? The Lord got, listen, the Lord, you know what I mean, out his home. In pork, you mean we got a man? You telling me you can't take in place? You telling me you can't give up? Because it should be an easy thing for you to do. If it's not, then that says something about your character. Maybe you like molesting little boys, maybe in the Christian church. But if that's not what you want to, leave the church, leave it alone. You know what I mean? You understand? It's an easy thing to do, and it'll provoke the Lord to want to destroy your enemies for you. You know what I mean? I don't see why that's such a hard thing to do. You know, in death. You understand? That blunt is going to stop you from taking somebody's head off. And I understand. Why you want to take, the reason why you want to take, you want to do something and you need to smoke it is because you keep smoking the weed, you'll keep escaping reality. And reality is that you need to solve the problem. You understand? And when you smoke the weed, you don't solve the problem. To, you know, stop yourself from doing a solution is the oppressor support court anymore. About being in poverty. You know what I mean? When you understand? And those solve the problem, the Lord is going to go out there and go pick up no gun and go take all the money out of Creflo. You understand? I'm not telling nobody to take out the police officer while he's chilling in his cruiser with his partner about to just devour in the hood. That's tough. And the reason why you're frustrated, the reason why you're upset and you want to kill somebody and you must smoke that weed in order to not do it, you know what I mean, is because you're oppressed. Well, then you don't got to be frustrated no more. You don't have to be upset and angered and want to kill everybody under the sun. You know what I mean? And then when you don't want to do that, the way you do that, the Lord is going to solve the problem first. You understand? So you mean, but if you want to find a blunt and watch the Lord do his thing, all right? You know what I mean? He will solve. That's right. Seek righteousness. You know what I mean? And you know, it's almost like a negative thing to do something positive. You know what I mean? It's almost become that, as though it's negative to the whole stigma of the Christian church. You know what I mean? You feel like you're going Christian or something like that. You know what I mean? But that is not the case. Righteousness is if you a woman not wanting to other man other than your. I mean, seeking righteousness is just. I mean, I know these fizzles going. You know, make sure that I'm up. You know what I mean? And my pockets is straight. I'm destroying. This woman got killed. Understand? She has all of that, and when I sell her this crack, I am destroying this sister. And not only am I destroying this sister, but her family loves her very much. And I hate this sister because I'm giving her this crack and I'm making her become very ugly. She's stealing everything. She's stealing from people's homes that she loves. She's doing things that she normally wouldn't do. She's hurting her daughters. She's hurting her sons when she ends up she wouldn't normally do. You know what I mean? And she's shaming her whole family. And I'm responsible for this when I sell this woman this crack. Because, you know, I just gave her, you know, she was just 30 pounds heavier last week. You know what I mean? She was 30 pounds heavier last week. This is not a good thing that I'm doing to her. Yeah, she's doing it to herself to a certain extent, but I can tell she's lost herself. She is not all the way there. I am there. I understand that this is some help. I should stop selling her this crack, help the broad out, and you know, help her get up. All right, seek meekness. You know what I mean? You have and can't be arrogant. You know what I mean? You can't be, you know, cocky about what you're doing or anything like that. You can't think that, you know, you should do that. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Why would you seek righteousness? Why would you want to stop selling crack when you think selling crack is the most coolest thing? You know what I mean? When you think and you being arrogant about it, you'll never be able to say this is the wrong thing to do. I shouldn't be selling this crack to this brother. Look at this brother, man. And still, you know, I want to say, got kicked out of the house for doing crack. You know, he's back in the house now because he stopped smoking this little bit of flig. You understand? Ain't gonna make it hot. And you know, if you don't do righteousness, you won't. And usually, this isn't a problem that so-called Black, Hispanics, and Native Indians have. We are, you know what I mean? We are humble as can be. We know what it feels like to be deprived themselves. You understand? Because we understand what it feels like to be deprived. You know what I mean? And we don't want to feel like that. So why would we want someone else to feel like that? You know what I mean? But be hid in the day of the Lord's anger. It may be that ye shall be hid in the day of the Lord's anger. Now the day of the Lord's anger no longer on standby. All right? Christ and the angels, they no longer on standby, but the order comes from the Most High to, you know what I mean? The order to execute judgment. And, you know, just like with any war, the Lord, one another shooting at one another, boom, 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 you know what I mean? Every shot ain't going on the target. You know what I mean? So you might hit the glass window behind them. You might hit the hit up a car door. You might shoot a bullet through somebody's window. You know what I mean? You might, you know, shoot through somebody's door, just shoot through the goddamn walls of their house. Change, you know what I mean? Because this earth is going to be destroyed by Christ and the angels. When the Most High gives those death orders, when he gives the order, when it's sword out the way, you know what I mean? But you want Christ and the angels is going to be. That's how tremendous the onslaught from the army of the Most High, the army for so-called Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians is going. That when the Lord is showing you his anger, that's the day that he is showing you his anger when he does that. You know what I mean? When he sent Christ and the angels to come destroy this earth, that we Avengers and all of that, you got the motherboard ships, you got asthma all over them, and you know, nothing about to go down. But that is definitely angels. Salakia, on chariots, ready to seek meekness. Seek, all right? And you'll be hid, thick effort. You know what I mean? You got different operations with, you got cats on the front line, you got the special area, what have you, that have different responsibilities. You know what I mean? The Lord is going to give a specific order, you know what I mean? A specific order to ensure the righteousness. Who stopped eating pork, crab, shrimp, and lobster days and all these other and left church and the Muslim mosque, the safety, when everyone else is in absolute danger. You know what I mean? You won't be consumed when Christ and the angels return to deliver justice. Violence that has been done on our people. All right? You'll be hid. You'll be hid on the chariots of the Most High. You know what I mean? On those chariot objects that they say defy the laws of gravity. The way that they maneuver defies the law that you are dealing with. A power on any season, what have you, a pattern as to how they are able to maneuver defies the Most High's fighter jets defy the laws of gravity, and they, you know, this for that. All right. The way that they maneuver defies the laws of gravity. Imagine the artillery that they have in store. The artillery that is in store is going to be absolutely far more superior than any weapon that is known to man. You understand? With that being said, Salakia, sneak, just bear with me 1 second. Oh. Guess I'll use this. I'll go to this one then. You know what I mean? Just because we right up on the time or what have you. That's right. No sweat. All right. Where we at? Oh, okay. Salakia. Estes, the 4th chapter, and Salakia, the 9th verse. All right. You know what I mean? 2 are better than 1 because they have a good rule. The one will lift up his fellow, for he hath not another. You know what I mean? You go on a war, you might got a brother that suffers a gunshot wound. You know what I mean? The brother suffer a gunshot wound, and you know it ain't. However, he's unable to move. You know what I mean? If he's there by himself, he has no one to move for him. All right, he might have to phone in on an ambulance or something. It's a DOA. You know what I mean? That he's pronounced dead on arrival. You know what I mean? However, you got a brother. The brother, you know what I mean? If he's there by himself, you know what I mean? You know, it says, woe unto him. Meaning what? Death or destruction. You know, he might die, or, you know, he's just going to be destroyed to the hospital or what have you. But if he's there and he's fighting with another brother, and, you know, they going to war, and the brother gets shot in the leg and he can't walk no more, and his brother helps him out. He helps him, and now he brings him in there, you know, and everything is, I mean, that's the benefit point, however. You know what I mean? It's Salakia. Lie together, then they have heat. How can one be warm alone? Meaning what? Let's just say, you know, like even, you know, really, you know, what have you. You know what I mean? Let's just say there's freezing temperature, and you out there is very low. You know what I mean? You're low freezing temperatures, and you can get. That's a benefit of that's the benefit of having someone else with you, or something like that, and you got these cats, they rolling on you deep because they trying to jump you. You know what I mean? You okay, you might be able to hold it down or whatever, or what have you, to box you out. You know what I mean? And you gonna have to box them out. The Tasmanian devil, all right? Your chance will increase if you wasn't standing at that bus stop alone. You know what I mean? You there with another brother. Now 2 cats roll on you deep. They with you, that's going to fight with you. That's going to stand with you and fight with you till it's over. All right? And a 3-fold cord is not quickly broken. What is a 3-fold cord? Going to break that. And you might break one easily. You know what I mean? It makes it stronger. All right? When you braid that thing up. All right? But all of this is stressing this. You know what I mean? We have to have a wonderful thing to have, and it's you know, it's almost a no-brainer as to why we should, you know, one another is an absolute no-brainer, because when our oppressor is trying, but with that though, however, you know what I'm saying, we want to roll because we right up on the time or what have you, successfully discern how to combat the oppressor. You know, Stephon Clark, if you're tired of what happened with George Floyd, if you're tired with all the recent acts of how people die by the hands of police officers, you know, it's the nearest city to you, your people. Okay? So with that, I'm always Yahweh Shemor, Lathan Bahashim Yahweh Shah to the system.
My name is Raymond Two Hawks Watson, CEO and founder of the Providence Cultural Equity Initiative. Take a moment to acknowledge the Center for the Study of Slavery and Justice here at Brown University, and of course, Dr. Tony Bowes is right over in the corner there, so thank him very much for his hospitality and hosting us here. Rhode Island College, the Rhode Island State Council for the Arts, for the events that have been taking place this week as well. Eastern Medicine Singers, and Chief Darrell Black Eagle Jameson is here as well. He's the head of the Eastern Medicine Singers Drum. Very support and awareness raised about it that other Indian cultures in North America and beyond get. So we really started this 7 years ago in a conversation between this area. It started off with just the people come to powwows and they lead culture in that way. But we wanted to encourage actual academic sort of dialogue and conversation and learning. We wanted to facilitate learning about our culture, our history, who our plastic week of programming thus far. We started on Monday with a panel discussion entitled Squanto, Friend or Foe, which was held at Rhode Island College, and we discussed the historical figure Squanto, and actually realized that's not actually his real name. What was it, Tisquantum? And Squantum means played getting kidnapped, taken over to Europe, finding his way back, getting kidnapped, brought back over there again, and then eventually making his way to be a translator between the what's impacted us even until this day. So it was a very live day. We had a Nkomo Miswen, and it was a great way to show right in the heart of the city that our culture is alive and well. So if people were driving down Empire Street, riding by AS2